Hey, how's it going?
So this week in the poll, I asked you about supplementation, and that's going to be the topic for tonight. So, do you currently supplement, or have you taken any supplements while eating keto or carnivore outside of a basic electrolyte supplement? So, probably most of us use electrolytes on a daily basis. So, we didn't count that specifically, but anything outside of that, maybe you did in the beginning, maybe you're doing it currently. Wanted to hear your thoughts because we're going to talk about it, so I'll save my spiel. But I was kind of surprised by the results this week. We had a overwhelming majority, 62%, say that you are currently taking some supplements, and a lot of you left comments. We had almost 116 comments this week. So thank you to everybody who responded and gave us kind of a list. That was really helpful because it helped me to see some trends, what's really common that people seem to be taking. And then some of you have lots of different things in here, and so a few of you left kind of like the reasons why you take them, which I thought was really interesting as well. I've been thinking a lot about this topic for probably the last month or so, even more in depth. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here to read through. So thanks everybody for participating this week. So really, yeah, it was 62% say you're currently doing it. And then 20% was the next highest saying, nope, you've never supplemented at all. So I honestly thought that would be higher because I feel like that's kind of what I hear a lot, that you just eat meat, drink water, and it's kind of, everything takes care of itself. So I was a little bit surprised. But anyway, 10% said you did some in the beginning, but you don't anymore, which is pretty interesting. And then 4% was, I'm thinking about taking some, but I'm not sure. And then 4% said other, and you left a comment. So that was really fun to read through all your input this week. So thanks, everybody. And so that's going to kind of start us off here in our discussion on supplementation. So I'm sure, depending on where you are in your journey, we're all going to have different answers. And so I'm just going to kind of start going around the panel here, and we usually go clockwise. So we'll start with Anna and JT, if you guys are ready. So what's please introduce yourself and your channel, and then give us your thoughts about supplementation. What do you think about it in general, being on a carnivorous or, very low carb diet, and what do you do personally with supplementation?
My name is JT. I'm from the Poco Moonshine family. I okay. Supplements. I think they're fine if like magnesium, or if you're taking element or something like that. But I really don't take any supplements. Like I used to take like a men's daily vitamin pill before carnivore. Since being on carnivore, I do not take that men's daily vitamin anymore. I think I get most of my electrolytes and everything I need either from the meat itself or the Redmond's real salt that I'm putting on the meat itself. So I don't do any supplements. My wife, she'll come on here after you guys go around. She's just on a phone call, but otherwise, she doesn't do any supplements either. I think she did a one of those one a day women's vitamin pills before carnivore too as well. But we don't do much of that on carnivore. That's just us though.
Awesome. Yeah. So really not feeling the need, other than you said you take electrolytes daily, or how often do you feel like you
Oh, just
need?
through the Redmonds.
Okay. Hi. There's another kiddo.
Kimba?
Cool.
We're gonna listen. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. All right, we'll move over to Cami at Last Day of Normal.
Hi, my name is Cami from Last Day of Normal, and I kind of struggle with my belief in vitamins because, I've taken them for many years. I've been part of multi-level marketing companies selling vitamins that I thought was going to save the world. And then study after study after study comes out showing that they either don't do anything or they hurt people. And, you know, I keep hearing that. Even now I'm hearing things about vitamin D, that you shouldn't supplement that. And it's just, it's like painful to constantly have like, this is what's going to help me. This is going to save me. And then to find out that it's either not doing anything and you're wasting your money, or it's hurting you. So I am going very minimal right now and trying to trust the food. So I just do the Lugol's for iodine for my Hashimoto's, selenium, because you're supposed to do that with Lugol's. And then you chase that with salt, like a lot of salt, not this much, that would be too much, but like a teaspoon a day in your water. And then like keto drops, but I am going to follow Nia's. I'm going to make my own. I have most of the ingredients, and then I will make my own electrolytes, just because I hate spending money. I'm really cheap and I don't want to keep spending money without proof that it's doing anything, but I keep having hope that it will. But these are the few things that I take, especially after hearing so much about iodine and hoping that that's the thing that will save me. But mostly I'm trusting the meat. Like I'm putting my faith in the meat right now. That's my supplement story.
Great. Yeah, I can identify with that a whole lot. And I feel like, well, I'll save my spiel because otherwise I go on. But I'm like ready to bounce right off of what you just said. But okay, let's go down to Christy next. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy. Like she said, my channel is at Meeting Wellness. I'm a teacher from Southern California. And man, I thought my supplement list was minimal, but I guess not compared to these folks. I'll tell you what supplement I'm not taking. That's vitamin C, and I don't seem to have a problem with scurvy. So there's that. But so what I'm currently taking is based on the blood work that I had. It's been like 6 months now. So my vitamin D was like 1 point below the reference range. And even from what I've heard the doctors say, that reference range goes low. Like they don't want you even near the bottom. And mine was 1 point below. And so I've been taking some D3. We've had a rainy spring. I know, Southern California, it's been a rainy spring. But I'm looking forward to summer, and I'm hoping to get out, a lot more in the sun and make my own vitamin D. But I haven't had my bloods rechecked. So I don't know if it's helping, not helping. I don't know. And I'm not taking it with K2 yet because I didn't know about that when I first bought them. So when I'm like Cammie, I don't want to spend money needlessly or what have you. So I'll add the K2 if needed, when that bottle runs out. I am also taking iodine. I am not a doctor nor an expert. Refer to Dr. David Brownstein or Dr. Elizabeth Bright. They have fantastic information. My thyroid numbers were a little wonky, and I have a couple thyroid symptoms like the ridges in the nails, which is like a symptom of hypothyroid. So I've been taking a couple drops of the Lugol's 2% iodine in I still do coffee, you guys. If you make me give my Carnivore card back, okay. But in my coffee, I do the 2 drops of iodine there. And then because I don't like seafood, I just don't. I do sometimes take the freeze-dried liver. I don't like the seafood, the liver, that stuff. So I feel like, but for the iodine with the seafood, the liver, because I don't like liver. And I even tried like the pate and all this stuff. I can't do it. So I feel like, they say that the liver is like the multivitamin of the carnivore. And I don't know. Who knows? I don't know if it's helping. I don't take it every day, but I do have some. I do take it occasionally because I just can't put on my big girl pants and eat that liver. So so that's 3. I guess I take 3, which I think is more than Cammie and more than JT said.
You have the record so far. So
I do. Now I'm feeling like I need to shrink away in shame or something.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay, we'll go to Larry next, and then we'll go up to Anna because I see that you're here now. So awesome.
So am I the standout when I say that I eat Fred Flintstone's gummy multivitamins every day, and I eat and I eat Tang. I drink a glass of Tang. No, I don't do any of that stuff. I mean, listen, by the way, Christy, you can actually do egg yolks, runny egg yolks. That is a multivitamin of a carnivore right there. And I do a lot of those.
I did 6 of those this morning. So
There
I
you
do
go.
eat a lot of eggs, and I did eat 6 eggs for breakfast, and all those yolks were nice and runny. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
and then do like me and buy a Jeep and take the top off and drive around topless. You get plenty of sun. That's what I do in Texas. I get lots of sun. But so the only thing I take, and I do have vitamin C, scorpic acid, the powder, because I had an infection and I took it during my infection. And basically I just did like a mega dose and then high dosage while I had an infection. I had a staph infection. I can't tell you if it worked or not, but I know I've read a lot of studies about it, and that's on hand for if I get an infection, right? Or if I'm fighting something. But I don't take vitamin C ever other than that. Vitamin D I have, but I don't take, and I have K2, but I don't take it anymore. All these vitamins, I have a cabinet full of vitamins I don't take anymore. And my blood work's great. I just had it done. I'm getting ready for my physical next week, Monday. So I'm excited for my 1-year physical on Carnivore. And when I started, I did take magnesium and just ate salt. Now I don't even take magnesium. I have no cramps ever. And I just eat meat and I salt it. I do have some iodine that I take occasionally when I think about it, which is probably every couple of weeks. I take a little bit, just not going to hurt. And that's about it. So I'm not really not a big vitamin person. I wish I could eat those Fred Flintstone multivitamin gummies because they look really good. But I don't think, and it's funny because people take those vitamins and they have sugar with them. And it's like it counteracts the vitamins. It's like you're doing nothing. Well, more than nothing. You're damaging your body and you're not getting any vitamin benefit. So never feed those to your kids. That's number one. And never eat them yourself. Those gummy, they had they trick the old people too. They see the old people vitamins that are all gummy now. It's like, seriously? You can't even take a freaking, I mean, back in my day, my grandma used to make us drink cod liver oil and it was not tasty, but we didn't get any gummy anything or sugar anything. That's not the way it was. So I don't know. These nowadays they've changed a lot. So anyways, I just don't do a lot. Oh, now, okay. So I'm going to talk about exercise though, because exercising, I did take protein powder for a month. I tried it out. I thought, well, I'm going to add some protein powder as whey. It was 100% grass-fed whey, so it was like the cleanest I could get, but it did have some stevia in it. And guys, I tell you, and I was mixing it with eggs. I do half a dozen eggs with protein powder and whip it up with ice and make a shake. But it had the sweetener actually started giving me cravings, so I had to cut it out. So be careful with any sweeteners, anything with sweeteners, because it will. I mean, it is like after about 2 weeks. Remember 6 p.m. one night, I was thinking, man, I want something sweet. And it's crazy because I haven't had this in months and months and months. So I cut that out and just went to straight eggs that's a great protein shake. You don't need to add anything else to it. No flavor. So you can just do eggs and ice and salt and it tastes fine. So anyway, that's my story. So I don't do protein powder anymore. I tried it. I thought, well, I'm doing a lot of lifting, but whey's not the best protein anyway out there for you. Eggs are superior.
Agreed. I have an egg story too to share, but we'll let Anna go first. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, for me, I don't really do any supplements. I did do a multivitamin for the first half of Carnivore, and I've really backed off of a lot of medications. I actually have hypothyroidism, so I'm steadily my levels are getting better, but I really I don't take any vitamins. I actually stopped using my allergy medicine. So that was a plus, and I don't have issues anymore. So I'm interested. Sorry, this is not on multivitamin, but I'm interested to think maybe it wasn't seasonal allergies. Maybe it was something I was eating. I have that big question in my mind now that I'm off of a lot of stuff. But I do like runny eggs on occasion with steak. So I'll put that with my steak. And I love eggs. I just usually have them more on the weekend. So I have to integrate more of those because that would be a really nice treat and really full of lots of vitamins. So, but Yeah, as far as like supplementation, I don't do a lot. Going to Larry's point about the sweeteners, I also had some, I like randomly had some sweetener as well, and it actually started to give me some cramping. And I used to be a big drinker of Diet Coke before that. And so I never noticed it then. I did have a lot of irritability on and off throughout the day before carnivore. And so I'm wondering if a lot of the sweetener was an issue. I also saw something with Dr. Berry where he was talking about how sweeteners influence your body in the same way that sugar does. They're coming out with more research showing that. So yeah, gotta be careful, like you said. But I thought that was an interesting point that you brought up because I just watched that video from him. But yeah, I think that's all the supplement. I don't really supplement too much.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. So yeah, a little bit of differences between, just depending on where we're coming from. And I think for me, my story is kind of complicated, right? I don't even know what I would have voted for. I mean, well, I would have voted for I'm taking some currently, but I have a very mixed opinion about it, and I'm just kind of doing it only because I got to the point where I felt like I had to. And so um, I'm in month 9, but I've still been having some things that I've been trying to troubleshoot. And energy was one of them. Sleep was one of them. And then just I have some autoimmune type stuff, like inflammation in my skin and things like that are still persisting. And so I've been like restricting my diet down to lion and then seeing how long I can do that. But the 2 times I've done that now, at week 3, it was almost the exact same number of days as when I did in January. I just start craving things, like craving other carnivore foods. The first time in January, it was seafood. Like I couldn't get seafood out of my mind. And I kind of pushed through that last, 7 days to get to 30 days. And then I ate seafood, but then that kind of like threw me off the road. I was like, oh, I'll add decaf back in. And I started adding cream and like too much at once. And so then that kind of threw me off. And then my macros were all weird. And so then I fixed those, I fixed my sleep. And then I was like, okay, I fixed my sleep. I'm high fat now. Maybe I can try lion again and, really get rid of some of this inflammation that's still happening. But then the same thing happened. So around week 3, 22 days, I was like, I couldn't stop looking at eggs, and I had never craved eggs this entire time. Eggs kind of grossed me out, to be honest. Like I cooked them for my daughter and my fiance every morning. And I never thought twice about eating them. But all of a sudden I was like, I need an egg like now. And so I waited like 2 days to make sure it was kind of like a genuine craving. And then I just started eating egg yolks. And so, because this whole time I was thinking about like, well, should I just add in like a B complex? Because I've been listening to a lot of stuff about oxalates. And some of us who are like kind of in my position who are 9 months in and still struggling with some things, like to me that's an indicator that there's a possible like chronic deficiency going on that might not be resolved maybe in 2 or 3 years, is kind of the opinion I've heard. It's like, yeah, if you just did carnivore for 2 or 3 years, you might eventually build back up, not putting in the junk, not putting in all the sugar that competes with some of the stuff like you guys were mentioning. But I thought, well, do I want to wait 2 to 3 years to feel good? Or do I want to, maybe do a high dose B complex right now, or do some vitamin C, or do something like that, just to kind of, the argument I've heard is like, if you've been chronically deficient due to like leaky gut, autoimmune inflammation, perhaps like a chronic inflammatory response syndrome type of thing as a root cause, like maybe I've been chronically deficient in certain micronutrients or minerals for like decades, you know what I mean? Perhaps since childhood. And so what happens is there's certain biochemical pathways that just get down regulated over time because they're just like, we're not getting what we need. And, and this happens in the mitochondria too, where it's just like your mitochondria just start to, I don't know if shut down's the right word, but it's like, it just becomes down regulated, for your energy production because you're just not getting what you need in the right amounts. And so there's an argument for potentially like, taking a supplement or in some cases like high dosing or, mega dosing a B complex or something like that, just to like wake up these systems that have been kind of dormant for so long. And some people see benefit from doing that. And they're usually like, the pretty sick ones, like, I don't know if I'm pretty sick, but I'm sick enough to feel like, I'm not kind of the average. And so that's what I've been wrestling with. And so I've been taking a vitamin D K2 supplement just because that's the one I had like 8 bottles stocked up since 2020 or whatever. I bought a bunch of it. So we've just been like working through that, which I think is fine. I've been taking 10,000 IUs a day since January, and then I was taking it on and off before January. And then I started iodine back in November, 2 drops of 2% a day. And now I've been up to 5 drops for about 6 weeks or so. And I just recently upped it to 7 drops just to see, like, if I start getting weird, itchy throat or feeling like, the fatigue, because like hyper and hypo can almost have similar symptoms in the thyroid and stuff. So anyway, I'm kind of experimenting with stuff like that right now. But I'm very leery of adding things in because I always want to go for food first, right? Like, I think we could probably all agree that if we can get it from food first, that would be ideal. And so I do track also everything I eat in Chronometer because I'm curious and I like data. And so like I noticed when I was just doing beef only on Lion, some of my B vitamins were low. And I know like we could argue about the RDAs, and that could probably be a completely a topic for an entire stream. But, there were some things that were low, folate, some things like that, vitamin A were on the low side. And when I started adding in egg yolks, I'm eating anywhere from like 4 to 6, sometimes 8 egg yolks a day now. All those numbers have come up, and they're not technically at the RDA, but my energy, you guys, and I switched to OMAD. So, all these things play a role in how your body's absorbing stuff, how you're able to metabolize things. Like, so there's so many factors that play into this, but I like to track just because I kind of like to know what ballpark I'm playing in. And so I could probably go on for 30 more minutes, but that's kind of my spiel. So I think, and to kind of summarize it, it's like everything else, right? It's like if you're feeling great just on carnivore foods or the foods that are in your diet, and, maybe you've had some labs and they're fine, like then you're probably fine, but I think there's a time and a place for supplementation if you're still struggling with some things. And it's that the hard part is just knowing what to actually take and how much, because like you guys were saying, I just listened to an interview about vitamin D the other day, where, yeah, it's like there's no real way to know. There's like dozens of different forms of vitamin D. I didn't know this. And so it's not just like the 125 OH and the 25 OH that they test, like one's a storage form and one's the active form. There's like, when you go out in the sun and they test your skin, it's like there's dozens of different forms. And so we don't even know like what a normal value should be. And because there's so many different functions that vitamin D is a part of in the body, it's like we don't, whatever's being tested in the blood is just what's left over after all these processes have like gotten their fill. You know what I mean? So like it's really up to the individual to like get your, like just start testing like once a month and seeing like, okay, look, here's my symptoms. Here's how much vitamin D I'm taking. Here's what my levels are. And then watch those trends over time and see like, am I taking too much or am I not taking enough? Or is being out in the sun more helping? Or is this supplement not the right supplement? So like there's so much N=1 to all this. And so I will get off my soapbox here and let y'all talk. But this is all the stuff that I think about constantly all day. I'm like, okay, what should I take and why? I don't want to just like throw things in and not really be sure, So, but I'm definitely trying to do food first. So go ahead.
I think Dr. Chafee says that any diet you have to supplement is an inferior or the wrong diet, right? So, but that being said, so we've been eating such a bad diet for so long, all of us here, that we've got these seed oils in our system, which have a 680-day half-life approximately. So we're not getting rid of them in 1 year. That's in 9 months. That's not going to happen. And one of the problems is we go out in the sun and our body's supposed to make vitamin D, when you get sunlight on non-coated skin, as long as you're not putting the SPF on. But I know the mitochondria have to be operating properly, and I know the seed oils interfere with that, which is why we get burns, right? So I think a lot of this is it's going to take time, and you don't expect a 1-year change. I think my body will regulate back to probably what it was back in the 70s when I was a kid, when we didn't eat very many seed oils. And I used to run around the sun, and we didn't have SPF at all. We had suntan oil, believe it or not. We used baby oil to get more sun, right? Some of us know this. We didn't have SPF back then. That's what we did. And because we're eating the good food, I rarely ever got a sunburn. I don't remember being a kid having a sunburn even once, I don't think. And I think our body will generate the proper, once we clean it. It's going to take a long time, though. It's going to take a long time to get these seed oils out, to get our mitochondria back 100% throughout your cells operating. And I think you just got to be patient. And, I don't think monitoring it's bad. And maybe taking, like I do take vitamin C, like I said, when I'm sick, or also take quercetin and zinc, which is an ionophore to help with viruses. And I'll take vitamin D if I'm sick. But if I'm not sick, I'm just trying to rely on my body. And I do just try to get a lot of sun. I take my walks in the morning, no sunglasses. When I go in the backyard, I'm working, I take my shirt off. I don't want to do it out front because all the women might get the cat calls coming and stuff. So I'll just do it by myself in the backyard. But I do get some sun, and I like getting some sun when I'm working. I'll be out, digging ditches or doing work in the backyard, just in shorts and soaking up that sun. And I tell you, I feel great. So, I'll find out my vitamin D numbers on my, and I'll report back on my at Monday when I have my 1-year checkup, which is gonna be great. So, but anyway, so I really think our body will self-correct, and the diet will alone do it. But maybe it's not now, Nia, because we've poisoned it so long, and this poison is still in our system, and it's gonna take a while. I just think it's gonna take a while to get out.
Kind of piggybacking off of this, I know you mentioned Dr. Chafee, and there's a question in the comments that says, how does a blood test prove your deficiency? And I feel like it's a tricky question because, like Dr. Chafee says, there is, each lab has its own range too. And it's for sick people. A lot of people are sick or have their own issues. So how do you know? And that's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know the good answer for that because there's not really a standard that's universal. So I think it's really tricky just because we're measuring people who are not in their best form, best body.
Yeah, too bad we don't have RDAs for carnivores on the side, set on the side. Maybe we go to the Maasai and take their blood and see what it looks like, because that tribe is carnivore, right? And see, hey, what do these people look like after doing this and not eating seed oils?
Couldn't we form our own database and have carnivores and create our own RDA for carnivores on
that'd be interesting.
a Google sheet somewhere?
Yeah,
I think that's why testing is good, because I haven't had labs in years and years and years and years. So I have no clue what my baseline was, but I'm curious. And I think that's the only reason. And that's where that vitamin D talk kind of got me thinking too. Cause it's we already know that the reference ranges are, not going to represent us. But I think the reason that I've held off on testing for so long is for that reason that you brought up, Anna. It's I don't even know what to compare that to. That wouldn't even tell me anything necessarily,
Right.
Again, especially in the context of eating this way. But I think just for my own, being an expert of my own journey, it's okay. And that's where he talked about the vitamin D in this context. It's say it's 40, who cares if it's labeled high or low or whatever. You journal your symptoms, you write down the number you got, and then you write what you're taking for the supplement. And then you wait, 60 days, then you test again, and you're journaling how you're feeling and taking this amount, and then you see what your number does. It might go up or it might go down, and actually going down might be an indicator that you're using more vitamin D and that you're actually healthier, right? Where we think it should go up to show that, we're healthier, we have a good level, right? So it actually could go down and be a better scenario. So it's really just tracking for your own database. And then we could start compiling that for people who, are eating this way. And then we might actually have some reference ranges that could actually inform people on what they might want to try. So yeah, the more I get into this stuff, the more I realize how individual it really is and how hard, and that's frustrating, right? Because you just want, if you're struggling, you just want somebody to be like, here, take this pill, and this much, and you're going to feel better. And it's like, it's just never that easy. It's never that simple. And I kind of, as a final point on the stuff I had written down, was, I think about supplements almost like I think about medications. Like, I don't want to be on these long term. I don't want to be relying on, taking vitamin D orally. I don't want to be relying on taking iodine if I can help it at all. I want to eat food and combine these other lifestyle factors, like Larry was mentioning, getting out in the morning sunlight. I feel so blessed to have a balcony now I can get like the east facing light. So I've been really trying to do that when I get up, and have that be the first light, like reset these circadian rhythms, try to get out to the park with my shoes off and get grounded more, just like deal with stress better. Duck's marbles. She grabbed it? No, she grabbed it. So anyway, that's kind of my position on it too, is like, I'm okay with doing a few things temporarily, just to kind of test and see, like, well, maybe this will help me just feel better in the meantime, until I'm 4 or 5 years down the road and I've fully detoxed from all this garbage, because if my skin looked better, I'd be happy. But it's also like, I think Dr. Berry says, take a dose of vitamin P every day. It's like, have patience, because it's like our bodies want to heal. They want to be in homeostasis. They want to let go of this stuff. And that's why I'm not big on like binders and stuff too. I kind of go back and forth on that, where they feel like, those can be helpful. Because again, it's like our bodies know how to detox. They know how to eliminate this stuff. And if we just get out of the way for the most part, and put in good and stop taking in the garbage, like, eventually it will work itself out, I think. But I know from comments I get and people who are really, really sick that it's not always just that simple either. And some people do need the support while they're healing. So, I've opened up my mind to it more. I used to be like completely anti-supplement, but now I'm like, okay, I see the purpose. Just like taking a medication might be helpful in acute cases for some people, but the idea is you don't want to be chronically reliant on this stuff. You don't want to be dependent on it, to get what you need anyway on a daily basis. So anyone else have thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate the whole N=1 thing, because I've heard N=1, right? N=1, N=1. But recently have just kind of internalized it. I'm just seeing that more and more. And so I totally agree with what you're saying in that sense, Nia. Like, the reason I'm taking the 3 things that I'm taking is because I had some data points to tell me that maybe I needed to do that, as well as, the way that I feel. I'm curious if any of you that are taking iodine have noticed a difference, because I've taken it. I have not missed a day since end of October of last year, or early November. And I have not noticed a difference. At one point, I even upped because I do 2 drops, because that's kind of the baseline. Everybody says, 2 drops. I upped my dose for a little bit, maybe a few weeks. And then I reduced it back down, just because I don't know, like, is it too much? Can you go too much? I mean, some say no, some say yes. I think I need it, but yet again, I'm not like I said, I have the brittle nails with the ridges and stuff like that. And my thyroid numbers were a little wonky in my blood work. For a while there, my hair was falling out pretty good. It's back now though. That's gotten better. But I don't know that I feel like my nails are the same. Like, nothing's happening is what I'm trying to say. And so I'm just wondering if anyone can tell me, like, have you noticed a difference from taking the iodine?
So I was taking 5 drops a day for months and didn't really notice. And then I watched an interview with, I think, Dr. Brownstein, and he was saying that he thinks thyroid people should be on 50 milligrams a day, 50 something. And so I found a chart for a 2% Lugol's, and that's 20 drops. What he said was 20 drops. So I do 25 because I have Hashimoto's. And so I need even more than that. So I do 25 a day, and my hair is not falling out anymore, not in like handfuls a day. And that's the big thing. Like, it just feels like everything else takes so much time. It's really hard to tell until months, but I am finally losing weight again. And I'm also doing Lion. I started those around the same time. So again, it's hard to tell exactly which thing is causing which. Lion does help me a lot, but I'm taking a lot of iodine. So I'm sure that's part of it.
Isn't Dr. Bright a big advocate of that too?
Yeah, I don't know if she recommends that high of a dose, but
for female hormones especially, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. I've only taken a couple drops a day when I do it, and I didn't notice any difference. So
I mean, I can definitely feel it. Like, you may hear me sniffing all the time. My nose runs constantly, and I think it's partly because of the iodine. But that's why I do the salt flush, because when you take that much iodine, it is binding with every bit of bromine and fluoride in your body and getting that out. And so the salt, you do the salt water to flush everything out, to get all that toxins out. So I know people, like online, people are like, oh, I took 3 drops and I have a headache. And I'm like, dude,
yeah, I don't know about
that. 25 drops, but I'm doing this salt flush and I don't have any symptoms of that at all. Like,
so you mentioned salt, so I'm going to mention salt. I've noticed a trend in carnivores stopping their intake of salt and just going meat, no salt. Has anyone else noticed that? And
I've seen that, but I'm not going to try it because I didn't take my iodine one day, and I woke up and they didn't take my salt or iodine that day, and I woke up with a mega headache in the middle of the night. And I think it was because I didn't get the salt that my body was needing and was used to.
Why would you cut salt out? I don't get it. I mean,
I'm not sure why they're doing it, but I've seen several carnivores with channels talking about, I'm just going meat now, like no salt, salt free. I'm not sure. I didn't, because I'm not going to go salt free anytime soon that I know of. And so I didn't look into maybe why they were doing that, but I've seen a few now.
If you look anthropologically at the natives, at the ancestral diet eaters, they drank the blood too, which has lots of salt in it. Lots of, so I mean, we don't do that. When we're getting meat, it is lacking that if I did a kill in the wild and ate it, it would have a lot more blood in it. And we would eat a piece of meat that has blood. Even if we cooked it, you'd get that salt. So I don't think that's a good idea, because we're eating meat that's not a natural kill, right? We're eating meat that's been processed literally by a butcher, where they drain the blood, they hang it, and then they butcher it. So it's not a normal kill. So I add salt. I mean, Dr. Chafee, someone says he doesn't add salt, but he does salt all his meat. I've seen him. He salts his meat in the fridge and does a dry brine. He does a brine, which is the salt. So I think he maybe doesn't add salt as he eats, but he salts it in his prep.
Yeah, I do so much salt. It's ridiculous. It's like, it takes a lot for me to be like, this is too salty. I did it the other day though. I was like, wow, I finally like salted myself out of eating this.
So sad that, because I had that experience the other day too.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I put a lot of salt on this.
I know. I put salt and then I add salt again. Like, listen, I put salt on my meat.
When it's cooking,
I cook it,
and then I put more on.
And then I bring it to the table. I start eating. It's like, I need more salt. That's not enough. And
Same.
Well, there again, it might. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, if we like cook a steak, we salt it before and then after too. It just tastes better. What were you gonna say?
Oh, just that I could see that being like anything else. It's like, maybe, we've been deficient for a long time and the body's like, woo, like, you're giving me the salt, and it may, our taste for it may lessen over time. And I think that's what the Bella Steak and Butter gal said about hers. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she salted in the beginning and then she just like felt like it didn't taste good anymore. So I don't know, but I feel like I was actually looking this up too earlier this week about like water before we had filtration and all this stuff, like was there actually sufficient mineral quantities in like natural water that we would have drank? Like how would we have gotten all these minerals in the winter, like when there were no plants available? Because I know some people are like, just eat a fruit or just eat a cucumber and get your electrolytes. It's like, well, cucumbers don't grow everywhere, and they definitely didn't grow in the place where my ancestors are from. It was below zero for 8 months, or not 8 months, maybe like 6 months out of the year. So like how did people actually get it? And it's kind of hard to actually find, but
eggs, fish, and blood.
But right, so it's like that's what I've been noticing too with tracking. It's like since I added egg yolks in, all of my trace minerals have gone up. Like, and I already knew that egg was like nature's vitamin or whatever, but it's interesting to see it actually in real time like go up. So I'm thinking about adding liver next, because I do like the dehydrated liver chips. And it's like, again, I love the idea of traditional cooking, and kind of getting back into some of these more ancestrally, like passed down recipes and stuff. And I know that on one side, my grandma, they always made liver and onions, like that was something that was made like once a week, and so I know it's part of my cultural, my heritage again, to probably have that in my diet. And so I want to find a way to make it that I actually enjoy, and dehydrated is, I bought like the chips and I do like those. So anyway, we do have some questions that I want to get to here. So the first one, Damon was in here right before we started, and he says, tryptophan supplements, ? I'm guessing that means, does anyone take tryptophan? I've heard a little bit of buzz about tryptophan deficiency, but I'm not sure that I know anything about it, other than I'm getting, according to my data, 350% of the RDA just by eating beef and egg yolks. So
yeah, I don't take any.
I don't either. I don't even really know what that is, to be honest.
Well, it's in like turkey. I know it makes you.
I think it's an amino acid, but
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm not sure. The only other context I've heard that come up in is in sleep, when I was talking about fixing my sleep a while back, and it was like if you're deficient in tryptophan, then that has something to do with like the melatonin pathway or something like that, which could affect sleep. I'd never heard anything about it before, but no, I seem to be getting plenty from just my diet. Corbin Hudson says, how much butter should I eat?
I love butter, and I add it to my food whenever, especially if I have something that's a little less fatty. So a lot of times if I'm cooking eggs, like today I had my 6 eggs and I definitely cooked those in butter. And then when I put the eggs, I put them in a bowl because the yolks were so runny. When I put those in there, I poured the whatever butter was in the pan. Like I made sure to get all that goodness and had it. Sometimes too, if I feel like if I'm craving a bite of butter, it probably means I'm a little low on the fat. So I'll just take a little bite butter. And sometimes even the salted Kerrygold isn't quite salty enough. And I'll take a little bite and go, nope, and add some Redmond real salt to it and eat it. So I say, listen to your body, Corbin. It didn't take long after I went carnivore last June for my body to start talking to me and telling me like a bite of butter sure sounds good right now, and then I'll eat it and I'll just feel great. So that's my 2 cents. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Follow what your body says. And, sometimes if you're having too much fat, you can tell when you're in the bathroom. So that's a good sign to kind of tone it back. But I had that craving for butter once so far. So, I mean, I obviously love it on my steak, but my body suddenly craved it one day and I was like, oh. So, yeah, I think just listen to your body, see what it says, and go from there.
So just a tryptophan thing, do you want to bounce back to that? The person's average person is supposed to have 820 milligrams of that. 1 egg has 83 milligrams, and 3 ounces of beef has 229 milligrams. So if you eat 6 ounces of beef and like 6 eggs, you're set for the day. Just to let you know. As far as butter, yeah, I love butter. I eat a lot of it. I put it on everything I eat because I'm on a high fat diet. not a protein diet. This is a high fat diet, 0 carb, high fat diet. And I mean, I work out like a fiend and I love it. And butter is my fuel. Butter's my rocket fuel.
Yeah, I'm about to add butter back in. I've added egg yolks.
So good.
And then I added bacon because I was like, the bacon, like I feel like maybe something's actually finally changing for me because I'm like getting real good cravings, and I feel like that's a healthy sign, but I'm also fasting and I can fast now. Like I haven't even eaten today. I'm on I got to my OMAD time and I was like, I'm not even hungry and I had so much to do. And so I was like, let me just keep going. And I just forgot, So I'm on 27 hours or something like that. And I'm like, I feel fine. I'm about to test my ketones and see, maybe I'll get a dopamine hit off of seeing how high my ketones are right now. But yeah, just to touch on that too, like the tryptophan thing, I'm getting 118% of the RDA, which is what you mentioned, just from brisket, just from beef, so like even on the lion diet, you get plenty of that. So without the eggs, but then the eggs was number 2. Okay. Ellie's question. She says, hello, mastermind friends. I miss you. We miss you too. Yeah. Get yourself on here next week. She says, I finally bought iodine. Please tell me how to slowly introduce it to myself. I'd love to know the dosage. I got the 2%. Yeah, I'm taking 2%. I started with 2 drops and did that for several months just to see. And then I've slowly increased it since then. I'm at 7 drops now, but that took me 6 months.
Did you ever have bad results from taking iodine as you were going up? Because I don't know what that would feel like. What is a bad result from taking iodine?
The only thing I've heard is Dr. Berry say that if you are taking too much, you'll start to notice scratching or tingling in your throat area. And that could be a sign you're taking too much. And then I've heard people say that, it can actually tilt you in the hyper direction. And those symptoms are almost, again, I'm not a doctor. This is just what I've heard people say. Those symptoms almost mimic the hypothyroidism. So you might get more fatigue. You might be feeling kind of that brain fog, just sluggishness. And I was feeling like that hardcore, you guys, hardcore tired still, dwindling down the caffeine. That took me a long time to adjust, months to adjust to the low caffeine. And so I was trying to take the iodine as maybe that's going to help me transition through that so I can still do the laundry and function, and not fall asleep while I'm watching my child type of thing. Cause that's kind of where I was at. And so, I've noticed a benefit, but I did it really slow and I didn't want to just dump, 10 drops or something trying to fix myself overnight. It's just do 2 for a few months and get off the caffeine, and then up to 5. And then I've been hearing 7 to 8 is a good number. So I'm okay, let me try 7 for a week and see, and maybe I'll go back down or maybe I'll stay there depending. But I'm just watching very closely for symptoms of, kind of what I came from, but I'm feeling freaking amazing now on OMAD and, now adding some of these more mineral rich carnivore foods back in.
So, Ellie, so from what I've heard, if you take iodine, you're supposed to take other things with it. Selenium being one of them. And I think that there are some others, but that's just the one I'm taking now. Because as your body processes the iodine, it uses up the selenium in your body. So you need to take selenium with it. And like Nia did, I would just introduce it slowly. I would not go immediately to 25 drops like I'm doing. I'm not always bright about stuff like that. But then do put a little bit of salt in your water to drink that down to flush out whatever comes through the iodine, whatever the iodine pulls out. So that's what I would suggest.
Cool. Anyone else on this question? Nope. Okay. Where am I? Mary says, trying hard to be a good carnivore at the same working on kicking my AUD, still having some beers. low in B vitamins, and I'm not sure what all because 60 years on SAD diet, any vitamin info or amino acids. I mean, I would say kind of maybe go back to the beginning of this and kind of, watch it all through again, because I think if I had to summarize my thoughts on that, it'd be similar to like what I'm going through right now. It's like I used to drink a lot. I've had leaky gut probably my whole life, just chronically deficient, abuse my body with alcohol, all that kind of stuff. So it's just going to take time to heal. And I think it's perfectly acceptable to help support your body through that process with a temporary mindset, So if you feel like, or if you're working with somebody, a coach or a doctor or somebody who, can advise you and help you check, again, we talked about labs and how it's sometimes difficult to know exactly if you're deficient really or not. But, I would consider supplementing something. But like we've all kind of explained here in our own ways, like you can get all of this stuff from the carnivore diet, right? You can get all of this stuff from meat and eggs and, maybe some dairy if you tolerate it, bacon if you tolerate that. Bacon has a lot of B vitamins. I noticed from tracking that when I added bacon in, that's when my B vitamins, and egg yolks, my B5 went up significantly, folate went up, vitamin A, vitamin E. So like, having those things, just beef, egg yolks, and bacon has like doubled or tripled some of my intake of these minerals and stuff. So again, I'm feeling great, and I'm probably talking way more than I should tonight because I'm just like, woo, so there's hope, what I mean? Like you can get through this. But I would take things slow and be very, intentional about what you do add in and take a food first approach. Ultimately, that'd be my advice.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're going to add anything in, kind of do it one thing at a time. Because if you add more than one thing, then you added a bunch of stuff and you don't even know if anything helped you, what that thing was. So that would be my advice. It's just what's your worst symptom that you think you might need a supplement for, which supplement might help with that, go with that, and then just do that for a while and track it. Like Nia was suggesting earlier, write it down, see how the symptoms go. Yeah. But if you add more than one thing, you won't really know what's helping you and what is or isn't doing something.
Anyone else? I did want to mention for alcohol specifically, I quit drinking the first day I'd been carnivore like a month and then I fell off the wagon and then I did it another month. And then, so in last July is when I'm like, okay, we're not starting over again. Even if I screw up, it's like, we're doing this. And that's when I quit drinking. And so, I mean, I can tell you that just having a few months under my belt, even though I wasn't perfect for like that first half of last year, really helped me kick the alcohol cravings. And they do go away. Like they definitely do go away. It just like sugar cravings do, like anything else. So, if you can switch to NA beer or switch to club soda or find some other drink to replace that, that's what I did. I mean, I didn't drink NA beer, but I was like a liquor drinker. And so I just switched to, club soda, and I'd put it in I like my little rocks glass, and I just put it in the same glass at night and drink club soda, and it's like the placebo thing. You almost feel like, you're still getting that same, like sit on the couch with my glass and you hear the ice, you know what I mean? So it's like all those same triggers that would say, okay, we're relaxing now, but without the alcohol, and it sucks at first, but you can retrain your brain to not crave that anymore. And carnivore is amazing for alcohol use, I think, because you just don't crave that sugar anymore. So good luck to you. Let us know how you do. Okay, Ellie has one more question. I've always heard that supplements are just expensive pee. What supplements do you think everyone needs as they detox from a standard American diet?
So
Anybody?
I don't think that everyone needs any one supplement. Like I said, I've really embraced the whole N=1. I think it really depends on your personal symptoms or things that you might be going through. I think some people do fine with none. And then some people might need to add some, but like I said, I think it's variable by person. So I would never at this point in my journey recommend like everyone needs this supplement. I even watched, if you guys know Indigo Neely, she eats meat based and she was supplementing iodine and went hypothyroid in her opinion because of it. And so in her case, she didn't just, because I know Dr. Brownstein will say, well, you'll just pee out the extra and it's not going to hurt you. And she was like, and now I know for me that wasn't true because I didn't pee out the extra. I'm a little hypothyroid now. And she's going through where she just feels so hungry, like voraciously hungry all the time. And all of the stuff that she's now having to fix, because of that. So that's one individual, experiment where iodine was not for her. So yeah, I would just say it's individually up to you, Ellie, and just depending on what each person is going through, what their symptoms are, then that's what they should do.
Agreed. And I think, yeah, again, it's unless you're able to test your urine and see, like, am I just urinating all this out? Or, again, like if you, you can go by your feeling, how you're feeling and stuff. But sometimes it's still hard to know, like, kind of like Cam, I think you're asking or someone was asking about the iodine, like, or Christy, have you noticed any benefits? And like, I think so too. I'm like, well, I feel better, but I don't know for sure if it's the iodine or if it's, that I'm fasting or if it's like I'm just finally getting the nutrition and it's absorbing, or like, I don't know, it could be anything. So it's really hard to know sometimes if things are working. And the placebo effect is like what, 20 to 30% regardless. So we don't know. But okay, I think we had one more question here, and then I know we're pretty much out of time. Is Lugol's, Lori says, is Lugol's iodine better than nascent iodine or ionic iodine? Sorry. Anyone know? I don't. No, I don't even think I've heard of ionic iodine. So I just hear everybody say Lugol's, so that's what I bought.
Yeah, that's just the first one I heard of. But in the book, Iodine Crisis, they talk about different kinds and that they might work better, but I already had the Lugol's, so.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's, unless anybody else saw a question that I missed, I think we got to everybody. And
Dave
anybody else have?
Dave Saunier just posted one at 6:58. Past few months, after even one drink, even my favorite scotch, I feel kind of terrible. So he's just commenting on the alcohol thing. So I don't drink like I used to either. I rarely drink, and if I do, it's barely any. And it's a social thing, completely social. And it doesn't taste like it doesn't taste good like it used to. So, and I'm a bourbon guy, or scotch.
Our guest on Lioness Lifestyle 2 days ago on Tuesday said that exact thing. So she used to drink a couple glasses of wine every single night, and now if she does, it's not. She said it used to make her feel like a good tipsy, and now it's like a gross. Like she hates it. She regrets it every time. She hardly does it anymore. Like it just doesn't hit the same. It doesn't feel the same. It's not enjoyable in the same way. So
I have to get like a big glass of water to go in between my drinks because I have to drink some water between, and which I didn't before. I used to sit there and drink, and then I'd have a water at the end or something. But now it's like take a sip and then drink some water. It's like weird for me.
So I have one more thing. I kind of had a question about the supplement, which it is kind of a supplement of birth control and how that is pushed on women. Like at 12 years old, they want to put everyone on birth control. And I think that is a really harmful supplement. And I think that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. They put you on birth control pills and try and cure you with that, which it is not a cure for anything. They ignore the root cause. And then you're on this, estrogen supplement, and they even had me taking another herbal supplement, Estrovin. And I'm sure I messed up my hormones massively taking all of these, plant-based hormone supplements. So just throw that out there.
And I too was on birth control for a really long time, and I actually came off of it because JT talked to me about, it comes from a plant and there's this risk of blood clots and all sorts of things. And, I had never really looked into it that much, but thinking back, like I've been on it for a long time and I really don't know how that's impacted my body. Like all the stories from other people, like I remember from Curie and his daughter having taken birth control and having that impact her to the point she needed surgery. Like it's terrifying, honestly, that they push that on people. And for me, it was because my period had really bad cramps. And even recently, before I went off, I noticed I was still having some more intense cramping. And so when I came off of it, I don't have that. So it's like almost started to do the reverse for me.
Hey, I'd like to comment on that quitting drinking thing. So carnivore diet is a fasting mimicking diet. So you can eat and still be in a fasted state. Your body is anyway. And that's the idea. So if you look back at the turn of the last century, the 1900s, 1890s, when they had opium addicts and alcoholics back then, they treated them with fasting, not a carnivore diet, because they didn't know that was a fasting. They fasted them, and that's how they broke their addiction. So they would go to special places and be fasted. And so I think this is what we're seeing, is that there's some kind of mechanism in the brain between addiction and fasting, and doing a fasting mimicking diet helps with that. Because I know some people have kicked their gambling habits, porn addiction, which, it's all the same thing. It's an addiction, or it's dopamine hits. And and then of course, sugar addiction. I mean, that's just one of the addictions, right? So anyway, just like to say that. And back to the birth control thing. Well, I've never taken it, but I got to just make a comment about these pharmaceutical companies. They love to have lifetime subscribers to their prescriptions. And that's what you are. At 12 years old, they can lock you down and say, we got this person for 30 years, 40 years, whatever. This is guaranteed income, even though insurance companies are paying for it. It may not come out of your pocket, but they're getting paid. And it's sad.
Larry, to your first point about just, fasting and things, I actually recently went down to 1 meal a day, and I noticed that my cravings have considerably dropped. Even just going from 2 meals to 1 meal. I don't know why, but it just something clicked in my body, and I'm actually craving more meat and other things, and I'm not craving other things. And granted, since starting carnivore, my cravings have gone down quite a bit, but I still have occasional cravings. And so it's interesting that the 1 meal a day has helped. After you said that, I was like, wow.
Well, it's amazing that alcoholism and out of control hormones have the same cure. How is that? Eating less frequently and good food. It helps with everything. It doesn't make any conditions worse.
Listen,
I highly recommend the book. I highly recommend the book Brain Energy by Chris Palmer. That explains why all these things are connected. It's mitochondrial health, right? And it's a lot about mental health is what is the context is in, but it's, addictions fall into that for many people, right? Because there's so many, like if you're diagnosed with one mental illness, you're so much more likely to have an addiction problem and or vice versa, right? So there's these bidirectional pathways that exist between all of these different things in the mental health space and addiction, and it, it all boils down to mitochondrial health in his theory, right? And how we are processing energy, and so that's that's why I'm on here, that's why I'm sharing, because I want people to heal and I want people to get this message. It's like, you have nothing to lose by trying this. You have nothing to lose. And literally, I'm covered in goosebumps, your entire life to gain. You can literally become someone else, and you can shed these addictions, and you can, stop thinking about food. I just forgot today. That's the first time that's happened to me in probably 4 years since I was pregnant, where I just like went through a day and I was like, I don't even feel like I need to eat. I'm probably gonna eat after this because I don't want to like intentionally push too far yet. I'm trying to do it slow, right? But like I already feel different, and it's like this is how we are supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to feel, you guys. I'm supposed to feel happy but not in like a manic way. Like I used to almost be like manic anxiety happy, and like that's not right. Or super apathetic and just kind of depressed, and it's like there was no control over that, and I don't know if that was technically like bipolar. I don't think that was the case, but it's like you can tell, when you start feeling good, it's like this is how I'm supposed to feel, and this is how you can do it. This is how you can access that. And so yeah, I think I appreciate all of you because I think we're all super passionate about it, and like spreading this message is going to change the world. It's going to change people's lives. And the more of us change and become who we are, the better this planet is going to be, and we can get through all this craziness and, come together and work together again. And so on all kinds of stuff. So I could probably go on, but does anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap up for tonight?
I just like to say that when I started Carnivore, I didn't want to quit alcohol. I had no interest. So if you're brand new and you're like, well, I don't want to quit alcohol. Well, don't worry. That's not even one of my goals. I liked drinking every night, and I did my first month of Carnivore. I continued to drink. It's just something that fell away, and it doesn't have to be your goal. You don't have to be afraid of it. If you love alcohol, stick to it, whatever, that's fine. Whatever your vices are. But I'm just telling you, your mind changes, everything changes, your identity changes. And it'll probably drop away, but don't feel bad. Don't go into it thinking, oh, I don't want to do carnivore because I don't want to quit drinking. Right. That's not a good excuse.
Right. I didn't even set out to quit drinking. I just said, I'm going to go from July to New Year's, and then I'm going to allow like champagne on New Year's or whatever. But when I got there, I didn't even want the champagne, and I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, I could take it or leave it, and I was just home alone and I had no reason to drink at all. And so I just didn't, and it was like, that's never happened before, and it's just been easier and easier to like be out and like not drink. Like I've told everybody I've had a glass of wine on Valentine's Day or like a half a glass or something, but like I didn't go and have a binge after that. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a different way of looking at it. I've been doing hypnosis. I've been doing like, learning how to relax in ways that are not dependent on, alcohol essentially. And so, sorry, we're running. I just feel like I'm blabbering on you guys today. But anybody have book recommendations? Then we're going to sign off for tonight.
Oh, I just second that Brain Energy one. That's a great book. I really enjoyed that one, and it does talk. It's pretty scientific and advanced and everything, but it does kind of explain what the mitochondria, how it affects your brain, and being on seed oils, not only carbohydrates, but being on seed oils, you have damaged mitochondria. So I think this is part of clearing out too. That I think we have a long road ahead of us when we quit seed oils to get back to normal, and I'm looking forward to getting there.
I would just say anything by Dr. Brownstein in regards to iodine in particular, and just but my library doesn't carry any of his books. Also, my library does not have any carnivore, no Dr. Berry, no Sean Baker, no carnivore books. My library has an agenda.
Okay, Cami. Well, now I'm going to have to check my library
Censorship.
because I know my library you can also borrow from like the whole county. Yeah. I'm going to go look. You can't even from other places in your county, your whole
it's
county.
It's for the whole like Columbus. Like we have a massive library system, and they don't even have those titles in there at all.
I'm going to go look.
I feel like it's just another way like that society hasn't, caught up with all the research, all the experiences that we have, and it's just, and maybe that's purposeful. You don't know, but there's definitely room to grow with that, get more books out there. It's unfortunate that they don't have it though.
They have a lot of vegan books though.
Oh, of course.
Lots of those.
Of course.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a list that I'm building in all my video descriptions that have links to books that I actually need to update it because there's probably 4 or 5 more that I think I would definitely put on there. But yeah, there's lots of good stuff. I just have an Audible subscription, so I get like 1 credit a month, and so I will, just at least go through 1 book, usually a month. And then the cool thing is we have YouTube, and there's like millions of videos, lectures, and stuff that you can listen to of all these people too. So, okay. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate everybody in the chat tonight, everybody who's out here watching the replay in the future time, and of course to all my amazing panelists here for your contributions. And so please, everybody, go subscribe to all of our panelists if you haven't already, and we will be dropping a new poll for next week's Carnivore Mastermind here in a few days. And yeah, I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thanks, everybody, and have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.